Say the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All righty. First thing we'll do is agenda approval. Is there any additions or subtractions or tweaking?
Not that I'm aware of.
All righty. If I can get a motion.
I'll move.
Thank you, David.
I'll second.
Thank you, Shar. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Public input.
Morning.
Doesn't sound like there's any input today, so we'll move on to the consent agenda. Once again, any modifications, subtractions, whatnot? Okay.
Well, there was a little modification in the auditor's warrants and claims.
You're correct. There was an error was found in the auditor's warrants and claims, and it was corrected.
Okay.
I believe it's corrected. Was it corrected in the one that's showing in the agenda?
That's what I don't know.
Do you know, was it 715 or 22?
Well, I have to go get it up to look at the numbers.
There was a mistake in reimbursement for one commissioner was assigned to another commissioner, so that will be corrected.
Okay. Can you get a motion to the corrected agenda?
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Dan.
Yeah, it's on your screen right now. There was an error. There's a payment
that's it
shown
right
to
there.
Commissioner Kruger, and that was intended to be assigned to a different commissioner. So this sheet will be updated and corrected.
Okay.
And whoever's $511, hopefully that gets processed in a couple of days.
I'd be glad to take it.
I have a slow month, I'll take it.
So Dan made the motion. Can I get a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Shar. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Let's see, county employee recognition. We'll start off with Auditor Treasurer Jennifer Hayden. Electronic support, elections support began the temporary position on July 26, 2022. County Assessor Jill Thompson, Deputy Assessor Certified Appraiser, is recognized for 25 years of service, effective July 28th, 2022. Sean Jagger, Assistant Shop Foreman, began the full-time position on July 25th, 2022. Thomas Johnson, Engineering Specialist, is recognized for 20 years of service, effective July 29th, 2022. David Kalsdorf, Maintenance 2, is recognized for 25 years of service, effective July 21st, 2022. Sheriff's Department, Bailey Palmer, Dispatch Jailer, began the part-time position August 1st, 2022. Solid Waste, Arlene Brett Wesser, Certified Attendant, began the full-time position on July 25th, 2022. Wayne Jensen, Non-Certified Attendant, began the regular part-time position on July 25th, 2022. And Trenton Stark, Non-Certified Attendant, began the part-time position July 26th, 2022. Thank you all. And next is Highway Survey.
Good morning.
Morning.
So the first item on our agenda, it's review and approve bid for project CP 029-119-022, along with, this is the county road construction on County Road 119, southwest of Nevis. It's also tied to our County Road 82, which goes by our shop out of town to the east and then back down to connect with 119. And we also had a couple of township jobs tied to this too, with Nevis Township and Todd Township. And the way that we set up the letting was that the two county projects were set up as a base bid with the two townships as alternate bids, to give them the ability to review the bids and see if they want to move forward with it, and that's how the proposal was drawn up. And so we did receive a total of 5 bids that you should have in your packet. Knife River Materials out of Bemidji is the low for, they were the low on the base bid, and they were also the low on the total bid, so they are the apparent low at $1,900,383.59, which is broken down as listed on your sheet. We feel this is a good bid for the Nevis Township job. It came within about $400 of our estimate, and the Todd Township was about $25,000 below estimate. So very good for the townships. Ours exceeded it a little bit by, I would say, about 7%. And with what's going on right now, we're very comfortable with the 7%. This would come from County Road Construction Funds, which is just one of our fund balances. So I would recommend that you award the base bid and the township bids contingent upon township approval, which will happen tonight for Todd Township and next week, I believe, for Nevis Township. And start date is looking like, contract says August 15th, but it'll be closer to the end of the month before they get going.
I'll move to approve the low bid contingent on township approval.
Thank you, David.
I'll second.
Thank you, Tom. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carried.
Very good. And then a project update. County Road 7 is essentially complete. We had a little bit of repair work with some scuffs that came on the mat afterwards, which is kind of unfortunate, but they did a nice job of fixing it. And this was the contractor we had discussed before the job that had done a prior project. We had a very good project with them this time, so it was fun, good end product. And up on County 16, they started paving yesterday, and that's going to take about 10 days to pave, followed by then shouldering. Very pleased with how the base is looking on that road, and it's going to be a huge improvement over what was there. So, and then we got this County Road 119. Everything else is pretty much wrapped up for our annual maintenance contracts, other than we'll be doing some stuff over by Akeley on County Road 49 with some contractors, and then some minor ditching up in the northeast part of the county. But good summer, lots of hours for the guys, and everything's turning out pretty good.
Drove on 16 last week, I think it was. I mean, it's good.
Yeah, anytime we do a reclaim, it's an expensive project because you're taking all of your bit and you're grinding it up, so you gotta replace your entire structure of your bituminous, but the base that you get to work on is fabulous.
It was good.
I almost took that way home from Walker Friday, and then I remembered that it was under construction.
Yeah, it's okay to stay away for right now, but yeah, give us a couple weeks, so.
You need the tracker.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And if
Natural
you,
Resource Management.
if anybody's forgotten, it's We Fest weekend, so don't go that way for about 10 days.
Thank you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
First item on our agenda is a bud capping proposal. County Center, we sent out proposals or requests for proposals for placing bud caps on 781 acres of recently planted forest stands, and received just one quote back from Champion Forest Services out of Bemidji for $65.21 per acre. This is just slightly up from their bid from last year of $64.25, but we feel it's a reasonable quote, and recommend approval of the quote from Champion Forest Service.
Do they literally do that by hand?
Yep. They have a crew that they
Yep.
staple little pieces of paper on the top of seedlings.
I put some seedlings out, so I should be doing that.
It's been a very successful program that Hubbard County has, probably one of the best reforestation programs of all the counties, because we do go through those steps, and we spend extra dollars on protecting those seedlings, so we don't have to go back through and replant them.
Alrighty.
I'll move to approve. It sounds like backbreaking work.
Thank you, Shar.
Second.
Thank you, Dan. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carried.
That's all I have.
So are they the only company then in the area that are,
Yeah, that was the only one that responded. We sent the bid packet out to, I think, about 5 different companies, and that was the only one that responded, so.
I appreciate you having last year's quote on there so you can kind of see there's a slight increase, but with inflation, that didn't meet inflation's
Yeah.
increase, so, thank you.
It's been several years since you've had more than one bid, I think, hasn't it?
What's that?
It's been several years since you've actually had more than one bid.
Yeah, I think there's a husband and wife team on this, and there's 2 different companies.
Oh, okay.
And I don't know if they're not together anymore, but we did only receive 1 bid this year. But yeah, it's hard to get multiple companies to bid on forestry projects because there just isn't a lot of businesses out there that do it.
Thanks.
All right, thank you.
Solid waste.
Good morning.
Morning.
All right, so the agenda item I have today is to review and approve quote for backhoe for solid waste. This is a budgeted backhoe replacement for 2022 for the North Transfer Station. Quotes are based on the state contract pricing. It includes a grapple attachment for sorting and packing our trailers at the North Transfer Station. And then an existing backhoe, once we would receive this, would be auctioned off after we get it in place. I had 2 quotes for the project, and the low quote being Ziegler Cat out of Brainerd for $150,613. And the ETA on them were both pretty similar, with Cat expected around November, December timeframe. So
Can I get a motion?
Yep, I'll make the motion for the low quote.
Thank you, Dan.
Yep.
And I'll second. Now, do they come with the grapple, or they've been modified at all to not damage the trailers?
yeah, so I mean, that's something new that we're gonna try out on this this run with the backhoe. Previously, we just had a bucket, a regular bucket on the backhoe that had a rubber cutting edge on it, and this will have an actual small grapple that will have rubber cutting edges, so it should provide better protection for trailers. If we get overweight on trailers, we'll be able to dig them out easier, and it should. We're looking forward to seeing the impact of this. I think it'll be much better for the operation. So.
Okay, thank you. There's no further discussion. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Motion carried.
The only other thing I wanted to mention is that over the last month or 2, we've been working with DAV, Chapter 38. They have recycled clothing within the county. You see the recycling boxes. And we worked with them and put in a small agreement together to let them utilize our loading dock at the transfer station for loading and recycling their clothing. So, been working with Jerry at Veteran Services with that, and we're looking forward to partnering with them. So,
What do they do with the clothing?
they have a company that purchases it, and I think and it gets either recycled or reused, and depending on the quality of it. So, last year, the DAV did recycle 154,000 pounds of clothing within Hubbard County.
Hubbard County? That's amazing.
Yep, so, and they do it all with volunteer work, and, so it's a good project and a good, good to get that out of the waste stream as well, so.
A lot of clothes.
Yeah, and then also in the county that, the DAC also has clothing recycling, and they do a similar amount as well, so.
Would
In the
never
county,
imagine.
so.
Trivia question. All right. Thank you, Josh.
All right, thanks.
Social services.
Morning, Mr. Chair, Commissioners. The item I have on the agenda today is the a parenting solutions contract. So just a little background. Joe from the Father Project. I'm not sure exactly what happened if they lost part of their grant funding through CHI. So Joe decided, as he is, he's very persistent on things. So he just said, you know what, if they can't do it, he said, I'll do it on my own. And so he's been allowed to continue to do this, the Father Project, under his own company. And so we followed suit with of the other counties. I believe he's got one in Becker, a contract with Becker, Beltrami, and I think Cass. He's working with Leech Lake as well. And so we're just going to continue doing this, but we're going to contract it out, and it'll be paid out of our MFIP Consolidated Fund, which is 100%. So he'll be working with the same individuals that are working through MFIP, trying to get them jobs as well, and doing a lot of the different things that he was already doing, but we're just doing it in a contract, so.
I was gonna ask if Joe was involved with this, so it's good to hear.
Yep, so immediately when he found out that they were no longer going to have that, he went at it and found out all the things he needed to do and put it all together, and he's continuing, he's doing some really good work, so. We'll be renewing the contract. This is just a one to get us through the end of the year, but then we'll have one that'll start at the beginning of next year as well.
Well, this is really good use of government funds, of county funds, because he has a proven track record that he's making a difference in people's lives. So I am thrilled that he found a solution. I will move to approve.
All right. Dan seconds. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you very much.
Quick question, did you see my email?
I did.
Perfect, thank you.
You're very welcome. I had a meeting this morning already with that in regards to Prime West. So
Thank you.
that is, just so you all are aware, that'll be occupying some of my time here for the next month or so. But that's all I can say.
Thank you, Brian.
Thank you.
Sheriff's Department.
Do we want to skip ahead in case Corey's planning on coming? Otherwise, I think
was
it's,
just gonna say that.
Okay.
We'll skip over and do environmental services.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I've got two items for the board this morning. The first would be renewal of our Pictometry agreement, which is the vendor that we use for providing aerial imagery for the county. They have, in the past, they did a 6-year agreement with us, which was beneficial because it allowed us to get an annual amount that we could budget for the cost of the imagery and make it a little easier to handle as opposed to one big chunk every so often. So that 6-year agreement allowed us to have 2 flights spaced out 3 years apart. We got imagery in 17 and then 2020. And thus that 6-year term is ending this year. And we need a new 6-year agreement to renew that to get flights hopefully spring of next year and then 3 years following. There was one nice technological improvement that they have now with their cameras that allows them to grid out the county in quarter blocks as opposed to larger square mile blocks that the prior camera allowed. So that allows us to dial in where we want to have greater resolution in more targeted areas so that we can take advantage of higher resolution there and keep lower resolution in areas where it's not as necessary. And so that way we can kind of get the best of both worlds with the benefit of the improved resolution where it's of use, but not having a greater cost as a result of doing that countywide. So what we've proposed with the new agreement would be to have 6-inch resolution around the lake areas and municipalities, 9-inch resolution in the rest of the county, and that kept the cost pretty reasonable when you think about the price of everything these days relative to what it was in the past. So we're looking at a annual amount of just under $31,000 The current agreement was just over 26,000 a year. And this,
Is that what this map then is basically showing? Where the 3-inch and, or 6-inch and 9-inch difference would be?
yeah, yep. The 6-inch is really beneficial. It allows us to do a lot of things in the office that we wouldn't be able to do otherwise without going out in the field to verify. So it speeds up a lot of our ability to assist landowners, and I think that benefit there greatly exceeds the minor additional annual cost that we would incur. And in addition to top-down imagery, as you can see in the examples that are on the screen, we also receive oblique imagery from Pictometry, which allows us to do a 360 around structures, which is useful for multiple departments' purposes, such as the sheriff's office, if they have a property where they need to know what the layout is before they undertake an activity, they can have all the information they need to go about it as safely as they possibly can. So happy to field other questions. Otherwise, I'm looking for the board's authorization to enter into that new agreement for the coming 6-year period.
I'll move to approve.
David?
I'll second.
Tom? Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carried.
Okay, thank you. And the second and last item that I have for you is a similar renewal of a existing agreement. This one is with Esri, which is our company that provides us our GIS software that we use for our various online GIS applications as well as internal software. It also provides us the software that we use for our servers that host all of those various applications. This is a 3-year agreement. We've gone through 2 cycles with them already. The advantage to doing this agreement versus not is we can benefit from a group package price for all of our software as opposed to paying for each software item individually, which has a much higher cost. So it's been very beneficial to us that way over the period that we've been working with them. And the current agreement was $25,000 a year. Again, not to be unexpected, the cost would be $27,500, so a slight increase for the renewal period for the next 3 years, but still very reasonable compared to what we would be having to spend if we didn't group all the software licensing under this agreement.
Is there any questions? I'd like to make a motion. Thank you, Shar. And I'll second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carried.
Mr. Chair, I just have a quick question for Eric, because I noticed we paid the Tyler bill this time, the bills. How is your department, are they happy with the conversion?
With Tyler?
It just brought to mind, you know, it's been a long struggle. How you feeling like you're moving forward, or?
Well, Tyler, with what they implemented for tax and CAMA, we're just the end user, essentially, of being able to access that for looking at fuel cards primarily and getting building information. So we didn't really feel it as intensely as the auditor, treasurer, and assessor departments did. So compared to our prior dealings with Tyler on our permitting software, this was painless.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sheriff's Department. Good morning.
Good morning.
Could we just do one thing real quick, that Jill wasn't up here at the time earlier for her employee recognition? So, let's stand, this is Jill Thompson, she is Deputy Assessor Certified Appraiser with 25 years of service, covered
Jill.
Nice.
Thank you.
I've played for 25 years. I'll play a few more. Yes. Thank you very much. We really appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Okay, Corey.
All right. Last fall, at the November 2nd board meeting, the board actually approved the purchase of 2 John Deere zero-turn lawnmowers for STS. We still have not been able to get them, still waiting on them. So STS had to move forward. Our local dealer actually now has in stock some commercial grade mowers for us. So what I'm asking is the board to approve the purchase of 3 to replace 3 of the mowers that they have. They're currently off warranty and they want to keep their mowers obviously up to date. So I'm requesting the board to approve trading in the 3 mowers that they have, replacing it with 3 new Toros from Up North Power and Sports. Their quote was $10,413.67. In comparison, the quote last fall from Midwest Machinery for 2 was $7,714.82. So we're getting more on our trades, and the price is actually cheaper for the individual mowers. So, and we're getting 3 of them. So, and plus we're able to do this locally. We're just going with a different brand, but that's fine. Be paid completely with donated funds, so there's no cost out of the
Perfect.
from the taxpayers.
Thank you, David.
Second.
Thank you, Dan. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you. And I just want to remind the board, tonight is our annual Night to Unite in Heartland Park from 5 to 7. There'll be food and music and all of our basically assets that the public safety groups throughout the county have to offer. So you're certainly welcome to show up and see what we have.
Are you serving that brown food again?
No, we're not having any of the inmate food, no, so.
What time?
That
From
was
5 to
bad.
7
5 to 7.
in Heartland Park.
Are you gonna send anybody out to Akeley?
To Akeley? No, we won't have anybody, no. Yep, all of our crew will be here in Heartland Park, so,
It'll be a nice night for you.
yeah, yep, absolutely. That's all I have unless the board has any questions or anything for me. So, all right, thank you.
Thank you.
IT.
Good morning.
Good morning.
So we are trying to move forward with additional storage for our internal network. Most of this is pushed by MCAPs and the needs in the attorney's office in regards to space with a lot of their footage in regards to cameras from body cams, squad cams from state, as well as stuff they transfer over from the law enforcement center. We had a couple different, we had an option from MCAPs. It's been a long process. When I started here over 4 years ago, it was in the works. They finally moved forward to where they have the program rewritten. They're offering cloud-based storage. We've been waiting 3 months. When they came out, they said, and there's such a wide range. It's like, it could be anywhere from $600 to $1,000 a month for cloud-based storage. As you figure that over a 5-year period, you could be paying up to, $60,000 or more for cloud-based storage. So Jonathan and I talked about it. He's not here right now, but he told me he's of the opinion we should go forward with our own without waiting for MCAPs. We need space. It's only going to be more as the HCSO starts using body cameras. As a county, we're going to need to invest in a serious amount of space to cover the next 5 years. So we've got 2 quotes. You see one for a larger and one for a smaller. We've actually budgeted $40,000, so we're a little short on the larger quote. However, with our savings from Office 365 going from a G3 to a G1 and then actually doing the conversion internally ourselves as a IT department, we can cover that extra $4,000 without any issue from the budget.
So one question I would have then, since we're not doing cloud storage, how do we protect against fire or something like that? How do we protect that data? In that case, are we literally gonna pull one of those RAID drives every once in a while and take it off-site?
So what we do is, currently our backup structure is, we have sand-based storage on site and over at Public Works. So what it's doing, and we have a fiber line over to Public Works. So we back up there, at both locations. It replicates from here to there. So we're covered there. And as we grow in storage, yes, we're gonna need more storage, but it is part of our storage plan. Probably in 2024, we're gonna have to increase our structure as our nimble storage, as the support for the nimble storage comes to an end. We'll have to readdress pricing at that time. We're already talking about that, but that's a couple years out. But that's how the backup structure works right now.
Great. I'll move to approve.
Thank you, David. I'll second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried.
Thanks, Commissioners.
You're welcome. Human Resources.
Good morning, Chair, members of the board. Before you today is a request for a healthcare provider. We're looking for our 2023 designation. Background information that's been provided to you is we had entered into the consulting agreement and services with National Insurance Services, NIS. They went out and solicited requests for proposals for administration of Hubbard County's group medical insurance program, and that is in accordance with Minnesota statute. We received proposals from Blue Cross, Northwest Service Cooperative via Medica, and then Medica Direct that provided healthcare bids that provided the significant savings against our current health insurance premiums. So at the July 5th, 2022 board meeting, the board authorized the cancellation of our Prime Health contract effective 1/1/23, where we've been with for the previous 5 years. The Blue Cross, as mentioned, offered a proposed premium amount in '23 of $2,596,923 with a second year cap not to exceed 15%. The Northwest Service Cooperative offered a proposed premium amount in '23 of $2,566,639 with no second year cap. And then Medica Direct offered a proposed premium amount in 2023 of $2,456,571 with a second year cap not to exceed 11.5%. The Hubbard County Benefits Committee meeting was on July 25th, 2022, and the vote of the committee was to submit Medica Direct as a recommended group health care provider for county board approval. So before you today is the recommendation to approve Medica Direct as Hubbard County's healthcare provider effective January 1, 2023, to include a second year renewal upon recommendation of the Benefits Committee.
So I would just like to make a notation. As you know, I'm on the Prime Health Board, which is county-based self-insurance. And when I talked to Matt about the numbers that Medica is proposing, he said there was no way that Prime Health could have matched. And so it's a really good number.
Yeah, good.
I'll move to approve the recommendation of the Benefit Committee.
Thank you, David.
I'll second.
Thank you, Tom. Is there any further discussion?
Yeah, the only thing I wanted to add, and Jeannie, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but this number is based on the information that they had, and it might actually be a little bit lower after, because we had their bid so early in the year, they couldn't review all the claims. So this would be the highest, correct?
This is a not to exceed number, and
Yes.
it could come down if they get, if they get better claims evidence over the last few months of our current contract.
Even better. Thank you.
Right.
And it was brought out that the second year 11.5% increase could be, depending on claims.
That's the maximum allowed increase. So we're not guaranteeing 2 years with them, but they are guaranteeing a maximum increase for us in the second year if, as it says in the recommendation, upon recommendation of the Benefits Committee.
Alrighty. There's been a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Did you need to say anything about this? No. Okay.
Learning curve this fall.
So the next item, Mr. Chair, would have been put on the consent agenda, but we didn't get it from the city until after the agenda was published. So as Kay is mentioning, this is just an annual disclosure,
Okay.
and I didn't put it on the consent because I won't change the consent after it's been published. We put it here just so we could call it out.
So I have a quick question for Kay. I attended the Magic meeting yesterday,
Okay.
and they said Hubbard County did a presentation at the conference. Did I misunderstand that?
Yes,
Yes, I
At which
misunderstood, or
conference?
yes, you did
I did not do it.
but it was at the McCaffa conference? I can look it up, I just don't remember which one.
And Bruce from Ellers had also commented that I was at McCaffrey, but I wasn't. I was here with you all.
Because I wanted to toot your horn, but.
Well,
I'm
thank
thinking-
you. Yeah, give credit where it's due, but no, I was here because that was the week of our CBAE board meetings, and so I didn't go to the conference at all because I was here. So
Well,
I
I
don't
gave
get
you
to.
praise without you being there, so.
2 people did. I wonder if I have a doppelganger? My evil twin, taking all my credit. So, yeah. Any other questions? We have a lot of chairs in here because we have our third and final election judge training tonight. However, we'll probably keep those in there because then we have our head judge training Thursday night, and that's equipment pickup for next Tuesday's election. A lot going on. This room's going to be very well used this coming week.
Do county commissioners ever become election judges?
I'm sorry.
Do county commissioners ever become election judges?
Well, we have a wife that's serving, but you can, absolutely, as long as you're not on the ballot.
I would have served this year if I hadn't had to run.
Well, and you could serve on the primary, because you're not on that ballot,
Yeah,
but
but
you
I
wouldn't be able to
just-
serve in the general.
I've been, was an election judge for years and
I was too,
enjoyed
it was
doing
fun.
it. Yeah, it was
Yeah.
Well,
enjoyable.
when, at some point, if you're not a commissioner, you can come back to being a judge.
Oh, by then.
You can-
There's several precincts that are having a heck of a time finding judges this year.
And I know that's why Schoolcraft went to mail-in ballots, because with 100 residents, we just couldn't find enough to
Yeah,
to
yeah.
do it.
It was a little bit chilling. Last Tuesday at 2, we had our first one. We were packed. 90 judges in here, but I asked how many of you have never served before? And about half of the arms raised. And that's a lot.
Yeah.
So
Good to
I'll
see
ask
it.
that same question tonight at our training to see how many are new, but there are a lot of new.
That's a good thing, though, that people want to be involved.
Yeah, that is good. So, and some have new clerks as well. Argo is brand new on everything. But Megan is great to work with, so, yeah, give her some credit.
I'll pass it on.
Thank you.
Yep.
Administrator,
So the first thing that I would update is that we're going to be heavy into budgeting season, and a lot of that has to do with how to handle the Enbridge additional tax capacity. And Jamie and Kay and I met yesterday afternoon to compare notes and kind of verify and identify, quantify what that number is. I will be having a phone call with Bruce Kimmel from Ellers this afternoon to discuss that, because I shot him the raw numbers, and we'll be going through that. But you're not gonna get your first budget report until later this week, because we had a couple of items that we didn't have in there yet. Some of that has to do with the way that we changed how we were budgeting for payroll and HR expenses. And if I would have got it to you today, you wouldn't have wage information for the highway department. And the whole thing is worthless without having all of the wage information in it. So I told Kay she would have a couple more days and we'd get it out by the end of the week, and that would suffice for our conversations. Along that line, I've arranged for August 9th, we'll have Natural Resource Management and VSO, and I'll get you a copy of the schedule. At our regular meeting, at our work session, we'll have NRM and VSO reviewing their budget. We'll be looking at the entire budget and talking about strategies and targets. August 16th, we will have socials at our regular meeting. It'll go a little bit longer. We'll take care of the business, and then we'll do social services and the sheriff's office budget. And then September 13th, the September work session, we will do environmental services, or solid waste, and highway department. We'll review those majors. So those were the 5 major budgets that I know we want to review. Are there any other department level budgets that you think you want to see? And it's a tough question because you haven't seen them yet. But the rest of those are pretty much general administration, and the increases are gonna be relative to the cost of labor. But if there's anyone you wanna see, if you think about it, you can, we can add. We've got room to add on September 6th. We could do more on the 13th. But these are the 5 major budgets with the biggest swing amounts in them. I think this also represents everybody who's asked for additional staff this year. So it'll be an opportunity to review those requests. So I'll put that in my report in these notes, and I'll send it out to you too, so that you have it when we get when the budget comes out later this week. I was at the MACA technical training days on Thursday and Friday last week in Duluth. We had a good presentation from the state of Minnesota on evidence-based policymaking and the resources that we have available for that. So as you mentioned, you know, here's a system that works, and we know that it works, and we can measure the results. They've done a lot of that. They have so if you have a problem, if you have homelessness is a problem in your community, they have evidence-based ways of addressing a problem, and then they have theory-based ways of addressing a problem. And the theory is not necessarily that it doesn't work, it's that they haven't had a chance to test it yet. So there's a lot of resources out there available. Most of them have to do with social service policy and program, but that was really good. And then MCIT presented on internet, you know, security. Eric Nearness was there to present on that, so that was good to see him. We have negotiations, and we have 2 major moving pieces related to implementation of the new health insurance plan and implementation of the next iteration of our classification and compensation plan. And so, depending on the timing, we have our personnel committee meeting this morning at 11. If we get done early, I'd like to take some of that early time and meet and talk strategy about some of those items with the negotiating team. And we'll include Gina in part of that conversation. And if we don't get done in time, but we will, then we would do it afterwards. So I think that is all I had, unless people had questions.
One thing I want to point out on the AMC conference that's coming up here, they had the Mississippi Headwaters Board being at 3 o'clock on that Thursday, and I got a call from the executive director, Tim Terrell, asking, are we having a meeting then? And I said, I had no idea, and we're not. So I don't know why that was put on. It kind of, when you were congratulating Kay for being at a meeting and she wasn't there, that made me think about the AMC
Have you
thing.
communicated that to Lori, or did you want me to?
Tim said he was gonna take care
Okay,
of it, so
okay.
I was gonna follow up with him today and find out what he found out.
I got to call Lori anyway,
Oh,
and
okay.
and you reminded me of the other item that I was going to talk about is after we selected Eller's Financial, Bruce suggested that we put in a presentation request to do a presentation at the December AMC meeting to talk about a financial planning process from not having one to starting the process. So we put that in.
That's a great idea.
And so, and his question is that gonna be myself and him presenting that, or is any one of you involved in, or interested in being part of the presentation? I figured that was gonna
Cheering
be-
you on.
I just figured that was gonna be well, I'm gonna have the bit play, and we're gonna let them do their part, but anyway, I didn't want that to show up on the agenda without you knowing that it was gonna be there.
And if you're gonna be talking with Lori, you could ask her.
I will, I'll talk to her about that, because I just got an email from her, and I'll follow up.
Thank you.
Just a note, as long as we're talking about AMC, MRC is meeting on the 14th, from 7 to 9.
And I think they have that on the schedule as
They
being
probably do.
Thursday.
I'll be attending that.
Yeah, and I figured, I've got it on my calendar for 7 o'clock. And
Yep.
Okay, then I guess we'll move on to committee reports. Yes, Dan, do you want to start?
Sure, love to. Just a little tidbit, if you haven't been in solid waste and seen Josh's office and staff out there, it'd be a good idea to go out there and look how things have truly improved from years past. I mean, I'm pretty impressed. So just want to throw that out there. As you know, National Night Out is tonight in Park Rapids and also in Akeley at 4 o'clock. David and I went to the Hubbard County Fair for Senior Appreciation, and it was a well turned out event. A lot of great volunteers in our community, and we need them for a healthy Hubbard County. So that was really good. Had a Northwest meeting last month. Everything we're really working on, when I go back as a commissioner, starting in 2012 to now, you know, our current director, administrator, Mindy, is doing a fine job updating and reevaluating the needs of the programming for the youth and also our building. I mean, we're doing very well, I believe. There is an increase in services for Northwest.
As far as percentages?
Yeah, I don't know if it's 3, 4.
Members, I believe it was gonna be like a 4.08% increase.
Yep.
And with non-member counties, it would be 8 point something, as I recall. So we're going to be raising our prices, and we'll still probably be less than what a lot of the other facilities in the state are at.
Right.
And we know that those other facilities will also be raising their rates, so we're in a good position.
We are, yep.
And to kind of, to piggyback on what you're saying there about Mindy, and that's what I've heard from staff and from other board members at Northwest, is that, and what I've seen in just my 4 years, it's a 180-degree turnaround from before, and
She's very proactive. And just a reminder, August 30th, of course, is ACES Summit in Park Rapids, and we have Park Rapids on board. We have a couple others that have other things going on, so they're not able to attend.
Are you bringing in speakers, or are they
Yeah.
local, or
Yep.
are most of them local, or are they coming from out of the area?
No, we're coming on from out of the area,
and what day is that?
and that'll be August 30th.
From 8:30 to 3:30, right?
Yep.
At the school again?
Yep, so I encourage you to attend, or at least to come out and see what's out there, and learn about mental health, get a better understanding. Otherwise, that's all I have for you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, just we approved ACES the last time the summit was as a per diem. Do we need to approve that again? Because it's something,
Who's the sponsoring group?
who is
Excuse me?
sponsoring ACES?
Hubbard and Prevention, so that's, I believe, we
Yep,
just,
just
Put it
listed
under-
as Hubbard and Prevention. Yep.
Okay. Even if you can just attend 1 or 2 sessions, it's really informational.
pretty
It
good.
helps you understand community problems going on.
And that's here in Park Rapids?
Yeah.
Okay, because I got a manager's meeting that day, so
maybe after that meeting I could swing over.
Am I attending that since I missed the last one?
It says Dan's turn.
I guess it's Dan's turn, August 30th. I would love to be there. Yep, thank you.
Okay, I'll start out. Dave can add if he wants to anything for the HLDC meeting. Working on developing an entrepreneur engagement program this fall. And there's an increase in users in the conference room space. The Heritage Board meeting, the Ecumen contract renews on September 28th with an automatic 2.5% increase, which will be $587 per month. The cottages were 17 occupied. The last one to be filled was filled yesterday, supposedly, so they're full. Heritage has 30 beds occupied. If you remember, it has a total of 64, and then we laid away 10, so we could go up to 54. The target goal is currently 36 to 38 beds to be filled, because the current staff can handle that. And then the net loss for last month was $109,388, so at least the loss has improved. Yesterday I attended a Magic meeting. Inflation's at a 40-year high. The Magic Fund topped $2.3 billion on May 20th, which is the highest it has ever been. So we had a discussion about if that reflects the financial shape the counties are in. And through the discussion, two things came up. A lot of counties had designated ARPA funds for certain projects, and the projects either haven't started or they've been delayed because of supplies. So a lot of the extra money is sitting in the investments till the counties need it. And then talked about how some of the projects have been delayed, but the costs have gone up. And so it doesn't mean the counties are actually in a better position financially. It's just that right now the money is sitting there. The asset funds are up 25% compared to the same 3-month period in 2021. CDs and commercial paper investments are up, and the top 3 counties for investments in the Magic overall are St. Louis, Anoka, and Dakota. And then I did attend the Prime Health meeting, because after talking to Matt, Harbor County is still liable for what happens in Prime Health until we withdraw on December 31st. And so, let's see, let me get this up, because, so, let's see. So we have a net gain there for the second quarter of $1,002,002. Claims are still down, but they expect by the end of the year they'll be back to normal. Let's see if there's anything else I need to tell you financially. Okay, so then Prime Health sent a letter, or received a letter from Ceridian, which is helping them to determine the rates. And the rates for next year are going up $100 per plan, the deductible, I mean. But that's to cover the new HSA criteria put out by the government. I was gonna tell you, let's see. Okay, the counties withdrawing from the pool of 2023 are Douglas, Renville, Hubbard, and Meeker counties. So the counties remaining in the pool are including Prime West Health, Clearwater Horizon, Public Health, Pipestone, Beltrami, PCMC, I can't remember what that stands for, and then Pope. And so the average increase for next year for their premiums will be 4.9%, although Prime West is gonna go up 10%. So, once again, I mentioned, Matt and I had a conversation off to the side, and he just couldn't believe the rate we were getting. So the county made a good decision as far as using taxpayer dollars wisely. Yep.
Thank you. That's it?
That's it.
Alrighty. Tom?
A couple of things. The Parks Board, we had a meeting about, and one of the topics came up was Deep River Park. And there was discussion about, you know, when can the gates of that be opened up for the public, even though it's not developed yet? And one of the items that Chip has put into the budget was $250,000 for demo. So that's going to be facing us, and whether or not what to decide there. But I think it was a consensus of people in the discussion on when the gates can be at least open for the public is only once the demo is done and maybe some trails are developed. I mean, the whole park won't be developed, but when can the public start using it? And so that was pretty well the consensus of when they can do that.
I think with the buildings there, that'd be the liability.
It'd be a liability issue, yeah.
Somebody will go in there.
Yep.
I know when I viewed it, at the last Parks Board meeting, some of the members were wondering about salvaging some of the stuff inside the lodge. And Chip didn't sound very receptive to that, but I don't know if there was any plans for that, or.
That was part of the discussion too, and there's some very large timber in there. That's
Yeah.
worth some money.
That's what I'm
It would be
thinking.
definitely worthwhile to look into someone to demo it who could maybe can even break even with it. That's how high the value of some of that timber is.
That's what I'm thinking, even if some maybe put out bids or something for people to do some salvaging there or whatever, to try to recoup some of that $250,000.
Plus, I know the Historical Society wants to be involved in some of the smaller pieces.
Yep.
That they would have room to put in the museum.
As far as that amphitheater, there's no perfect way to get that out. Probably have to have a crane sitting on the top of the hill and pull the concrete out pieces at a time, so that's going to be an expense.
That didn't include that in the demo, right?
I don't know if it did, John.
I think it was, wasn't it?
Was that
Part of the
included
demo?
in the demo?
That's going to have to be demoed, yeah.
No, I know it's gonna have to be done, but in that 250,000, was that included?
Well, that's just the amount that they're requesting right now, and how far that'll go. You know, they don't
Okay,
think it'll go very
okay.
far.
All right,
But if we can get that building down for
Yeah.
break even, well then, yeah, that can go towards the amphitheater, for sure.
okay.
So that's all for that one, and then also had a Mojave meeting.
One other question on that, Tom. When is it up for review again for regional park?
Oh, that was another thing I was gonna mention, thank you. Yeah, they just submitted the application for that, and if we get it approved as a regional park, well, then they'll be, opened up the doorway for maybe more grant funds.
And I believe that review is middle of this month, which is why they just submitted it again.
And we're waiting on that before we start developing a master plan, correct?
Chip and I are trying to get a time to get together and kind of think through some timelines of master planning and transition planning, and yeah, but it is kind of coordinating with the determination of whether that's gets a designation of regional significance, which will put us in a different pool for money.
Yep, thank you, Dave, I missed that. Then, Mojave, we have the guy who does the Energy Assistance Program, gave a presentation on, just a summary of what was done in that this past season. And for 2022, there were 6,103 applications approved. That's up from 2021 of 5,512. The total amount spent, $9,860,744. So it's pretty significant. Breaking that down, heat grants total was $7.2 million, of which Hubbard County residents received $1.5 million of that. And those household grants ranged from $400 to $2,000 per family. So that's pretty significant assistance there. And then there's crisis grants, and this is beyond the heat award. So, this is things like out of fuel or disconnections, and that was $2.3 million, with a $600 maximum per household. So Hubbard County residents received $494,000 out of that. Another category was energy-related repairs and replacements. That totaled $129,000. So it's a pretty significant program, helping lots of people out who are in need. And that's about all we got.
had a question, because I couldn't attend that meeting. Have they moved into the new facility, or remodeling started on it, or?
Yeah, they've had a little bit of discussion on it, planning the remodeling of it, possibly still, yeah, and right now they're renting out to the current, who was
Okay.
the owner before,
Because he's
until
not
they
ready
get
to
their
move?
place ready.
Okay,
Which is gonna be on 71 over there.
Yeah.
Yep.
okay.
So, yeah, they're currently renting it out.
All right, David?
I wanted to touch a little bit more on heritage stuff. Sharp touched on a couple things, but cash balances as of June 2022 at the Heritage Living Center is negative 439,000. At Heritage Cottages is negative 116,000. Positive, though, is that's an improvement over May. Both places combined of 96,000. So the trend is trending the other direction, the positive direction. Still a lot of work to do there. And as part of the work back plan, some things that have taken place. At this point, there doesn't appear to be any additional relief funds on the docket from the state or other places. So they continue to advocate and tell their story to long-term care providers. Strategies they're putting in place are some ancillary reductions have been implemented. Their move upstairs has created temporary care unit opportunities, census growth opportunities, and relieves some of the logistics of the congestions with admissions and isolation needs. Occupancy is up 1.6% points from the month of May. There's increased in acuity and education and train. They've become an education and training site once again, so the next CNA class will begin on August 22nd. Some strategies and initiatives for workforce recruitment. They continue to market in print, radio, and social media. Sign-on incentive for our critical nurse staff group still in place. Temporarily increased the referral incentive to team members for July, and that's had some effect. Incentives seem to be effective with 8 new team members coming on board next month. So with the new team members coming on board, Char mentioned that the goal is to have 36 to 38 residents. So we look for the conditions to continue to improve a little bit, but again, when you look at those cash balances and you look at the EBITDA still being negative in most cases, still a long ways to go. And then Jeff touched a little bit on the Enbridge tax capacity. Happened to go to the Enbridge meeting, and the tax capacity and valuations are very close to what they projected. And we should have more concrete information by the end of August, but being that they're so close, I think we'll be able to budget plan around it pretty good. If anything, we'll estimate a little low, our budgeting, and hopefully it's better. That's it.
All righty. Let's see. I'll start off on the 21st. I had 4 meetings that day, so I didn't come in person to Park Rapids for the Enbridge meeting, but I did call in on phone. Jeff was there in person, did a very good job representing Hubbard County, asked all the questions I was gonna ask and then some, so I appreciate Jeff being there. Northwest Minnesota Juvenile Center, like Dan touched on, we approved the budget and the rate increases for next year. I guess that's really the high spots. Everything else was talked about. HRDC had our annual meeting in Monoman. Toured the tribal college there. That was really good. They're not in session right now this time of year, but a very nice campus, and they're talking about adding on to it. Some of the nutritional stuff, they've got some gardens there, plus community gardens. So the kind of the food shelf is also located there, so they're open year-round type of a thing. Like I said, it was nice to see that, the campus and everything, and their future expansion ideas. Senator Steve Green was there for the day. That was nice to talk with him a little bit. during the meeting part of it, they voted to increase the executive board to 6 members, in which I and Craig Gosvick from Beltrami County were voted in and added to that executive board. I had my 3rd meeting that day was with some Hubbard County residents, so I missed getting on the bus to go to Monoman, but that was okay because then after the meeting, we actually had a little bit of an executive board meeting to discuss some of the things that had come up in the prior month. And then after that, then a couple of us, I can talk pretty good. And so if I would have been on the bus, I'd have been home probably an hour, hour and a half sooner than driving myself. That was one of those things, taking Highway 200 over there. They talked about a bridge being out and to follow the detour, and I figured I had an extra 20 minutes to get there. Well, when you get to the road closed, there was no signs that said where the detour went. And so I just went south looking for County Road 11 on my phone and never did hit it, and wound up on 113. I ended up getting there I ended up following the bus to the tribal college. I mean, that's how close I cut it, so. But it was a really fun day. Let's see, then on Friday, I had the Mississippi Headwaters Board. Went over the budget a little bit there. Had one variance request for Crow Wing County, and that was kind of basic. They're working on a bluff on the Mississippi River, and Crow Wing County approved it with conditions, and it was very reasonable. There were some erosion problems, and yet, as we know, they had to get a variance because you're working on the bluff, but it was to correct the problem and to stop the erosion. So it was an easy pass there. Sent a letter of support to the DNR Commissioner, Sarah Storman, as the county did too, to approve the sheep ranch, separating that from the other conservation fund lands to get that going through. And then I guess that about covers the Mississippi Headwaters Board. Had a managers meeting, which Tom joined me. We talked about a couple things. One was health insurance, and what we were doing there. Rob talked about copying paper and buying it in bulk to save the county. Chip talked about the timber auction, and prices were down, but everything did sell. And about resubmitting for Deep Lake Park. Brian talked about child protection cases were up. It's the midsummer spike. And the transit bus, the new transit bus passed all the operating inspection stuff for MnDOT. Jonathan provides services for the lowest cost to the citizens. Corey talked today about the party, you want to call it tonight in Heartland Park?
Night to Unite.
Yeah, Night to Unite. Let's see, Jed talked about the Highway 7 and 16. They were busy still cleaning up some of the blow down from the storm. Josh talked about summer volumes were a little, were like last summer, but not quite as high. Lauren said business as usual. Kay, elections or in-person training. Had a lot of new judges, she mentioned that today. Jamie, instructional meeting with local assessors. And Gina talked about frontline hero pay deadline.
So I thought the county was already doing bulk buying. So is it only on certain things, or that just hasn't
In
been
certain
developed?
things. At this
Okay.
point, we're not single source purchasing for paper, and we're evaluating whether that would save us any money.
And yeah, we talked about 20-pound paper, and sometimes the attorney's office needs 60-pound paper and
Oh,
stuff
yeah,
like
that's
that.
different, yeah. Okay.
And let's see, and then we had the North Country Community Health Board meeting. my notes up for that, so let's see how the memory's working. Of course, they talked about COVID still being an issue and everybody should get their shots. Boy. And that one I did meet virtually. They're looking for a place to meet in person if the State Board of Health allows us to meet in person again. They're hoping that for next meeting, and we're looking at possibly at the HRDC building in Bemidji. And I wish I had my notes up, but I don't. So I guess that's all I got. Does anybody else have anything else for today?
I would just note that the registration for the Fall Policy Conference is out, so if you're planning on going, coordinate with Denise, and we'll get everybody registered and get housing.
Is there like a deadline? I haven't decided.
It's 14th.
August 14th?
August 14th for the current price. And sooner is better for housing.
Would you like to know now?
If you want to tell us now, we'll make that note.
Oh, yeah, I'd like to go to all of it, and I think 2 nights
Two
needed?
nights, Wednesday, Thursday.
Wednesday and Thursday night, yep.
I'll go with Denise, staying just Wednesday night.
I'm attending Wednesday night, and I'm out of town yet. I won't be attending anything other than Wednesday night, so I'm driving back and forth.
Try during the day. If I can slide in and slide out, no housing.
And at that point, if you can, register when you get there.
Yes,
And they'll
that's,
just send us a bill, so we won't pre-register for you.
alrighty.
And I'm kind of undecided, probably leaning towards not going, but it's at Arrowwood, right?
Yep.
Yeah, and that, no comment.
Sometimes
I
I
did
got,
see your Mississippi Headwaters Board meets,
Yeah, they show it at 3 o'clock and,
yeah, at the conference.
yeah, and
And that may
Looks
be,
like a
that may
agenda.
be a carryover from a previous year.
Could be.
that's what we were thinking.
Yep.
Because, like I said, Tim Terrell called me and said,
Yeah.
so do you know about this meeting? No. So,
I'm excited about the presentation in December, because it's something new that hasn't been presented as a seminar since I've been commissioner.
I presented it at a Finance Officers Association meeting when I was with Cook County doing the same thing, but that's a very different audience than the general audience at AMC, so
And that's in December.
that'll be at the December meeting, yep.
And I plan on going to that one, but it's a little early. Alrighty, well, if there's nothing more, who wants to make a motion to adjourn?
Make that, oops,
Dan
sorry.
wants to? I'll second.
Dan
Sorry about that.
Shar. All those in favor say aye.
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 We are adjourned.